Can we ask Juan Pablo Bogado, the head of Globant India, he's not here. Oh, so in that case we don't have Juan Pablo here. I don't think we have Sanjay Tiwari here either. You are Sanjay Tiwari. Okay, sorry, I assumed you were Juan Pablo. So I couldn't see the names. So the floor is yours, Sanjay.
I gave a presentation a week ago on a cruise ship here in Mumbai Harbor, and I thought that was the most interesting venue that I'd ever had for a presentation. I now know that I was wrong, because this is the most interesting conference I've ever attended, not knowing who's up next and what slide is going to be presented next. So this wins the prize. I represent a company called Maersk Trade Finance. I'm going to take you through a couple of slides. This incredibly interesting slide appears on the website of the Indian Chamber for Mid and Small-Sized Companies, right? MSMEs. And this is what they list as their biggest business challenges on a day-to-day basis. So they list as their biggest challenges, among others, the absence of adequate and timely finance, so access to capital, limited capital and knowledge of how to go about getting it, the non-availability of suitable technology, and the fourth one that I'd like to pick out is an ineffective marketing strategy. In other words, how do they reach international markets for their products? So if you translate this to very simple, plain English, what these companies are saying, they would like access to cheaper capital. They would like easier access to capital, so they wouldn't like to have to fill in whole forms and telephone books worth of documents, which is what a bank typically tends to ask for. They would like easier and more secure access to global markets, and I think we heard some of the speakers speaking about that. And lastly, they'd actually like to find out what's on offer from a technology point of view. So these are some of the challenges of small and mid-sized companies. So take something like the cashew trade, and I'm sure all of you have had a cashew at some point in your life, if you're above 18 at least. So, you know, the cashew trade is one of these huge trades that moves around the globe. It comes from West Africa, comes to India, comes to Vietnam, where the cashew fruit is actually peeled, and then the raw cashew goes to some place where it's roasted, and from there it goes to a canning operation in Colorado and comes back, and you and I pay $5 a can for this stuff. You know, that's called the global cashew supply chain. And what these companies look for is pre-shipment financing. So how do I get money to buy cashew from the African farmer? How do I store it at origin? So is there a warehouse where I can keep it? How do I get access to shipping capacity? How do I get post-shipment financing? So after I've offloaded my cashew in Vietnam or India, and how do I finally collect my funds? Next slide, please. So these are the typical problems that they run into. This diagram represents what it takes for a company to get a letter of credit. So if you go up to a bank and say, you know, I need pre-shipment financing and I need post-shipment financing, the banks will say, well, we have this wonderful product, it's called the letter of credit. The letter of credit's been around for a few hundred years. What people don't tell you is that it takes all of these steps to actually get a letter of credit executed. And in our team at Maersk, we call this diagram the snake, because it looks like a snake. This is literally how long it takes to get a letter of credit issued, and this time study was done for us by McKinsey. So look at how many days it takes to get a letter of credit issued and confirmed, and this is not even counting the fact that that letter of credit may get rejected at the other end because the banker at the other end says, sorry, there's a spelling mistake. So what we've gone and done as Maersk Trade Finance is said, we're the shipping company, we actually carry the goods, we're the ones carrying those cashews. Why don't we be the one who actually issues you with the credit that you need to export your product? Isn't it possible, and that was our question to ourselves, to come up with a solution that is simple and secure at the same time? The letter of credit is a fairly secure solution, but as my previous diagram showed, it's not the simplest solution by any stretch. Next slide, please. So some of the technological innovations that we've tried to come up with, actually by partnering with an Indian company, is saying, can we pre-populate a lot of the data that's needed to get somebody approved for credit? If you go to apply for anything in India, whether it's a phone or a car, to buy a car, or to apply, God forbid, to apply for a passport, you need to bring a lot of data about yourself. So what we've gone and said is, let's take a lot of that publicly available data on companies, pre-populate it. So 60 to 70% of that data we're able to pre-populate, give it to an export and say, we know this much about you. Could you please fill in your grandmother's name? And then we're done and we can move on to approving your credit application. Next slide, please. So taking, this kind of a solution, people are able to then export their product on a much more simple basis. It's a digital solution. There's zero paper involved. We've literally got customers in the United States uploading everything overnight. It comes to us in Mumbai. We approve it and send it back to them without any forms being couriered back and forth. Next slide, please. So the solution, in design and in execution is really compelling. We hope it's compelling, and it's an online product. Next slide, please. So I'm sure everybody's heard about blockchain because it's the flavor of the month. If you go onto the IBM Maersk website, and Maersk and IBM formed a joint venture, this is a diagram that says this is what the funding of freight looks like today, the movement of freight looks like today. These are all the different entities involved. If you go on to the next slide, and just go to the animation. So this is what the future is going to look like and is starting to look like, because Maersk and IBM are actually working on this as we speak to create a much more streamlined flow to make it possible for us to export goods from, for example, West Africa to India without too many intermediaries touching the product. We actually did a pilot on this last year between Kenya and Rotterdam. And typically on that flow, there would have been 30 different entities involved, and there would have been 200 different documents issued to move those products from point A to point B, not counting the number of stamps that had to be put onto all of those documents. And all of that disappeared with this very simple blockchain solution that we put in. Yeah, that's my next slide. Great. Next slide. So I'll skip over some of the other solutions that we're developing to increase the value chain. The summary of the presentation is there's a lot of technology that's being deployed to make it easier for exporters and imports to avail of credit, to make it less cumbersome than what it is today. And the theme of this conference, Global Value Chains, simply by leveraging the knowledge that Maersk has of importers and exporters globally, we're able to pre-populate a lot and approve credit requests up front. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. So we'll move on now to Biswajita Mishra, the Head of Accounts Management in Amazon.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Nadeem, for having me here and everyone having me here. And I'm Biswajita Mishra. I head Account Management for Global Sales in Amazon India. And today I'm here to talk to you guys about how e-commerce is actually enabling the global value chain. So Amazon set up its operations in India in June 2013 with the vision of transforming the way India buys and sells. And what we realized is in India, the SME ecosystem and the digital economy is so new and the challenges are so unique that all our services are catering, and we have designed services specifically designed for our Indian sellers. So moving on, so via Amazon, we have seen that the sellers have access to millions of customers across the length and breadth of the country, which is 20,500 pin codes to be exact. We have our fulfillment centers to enable the picking, packing and shipping for the customers. And we also have seen that the manufacturers are loving the thing that they have direct access to the customers. What we see is Indian manufacturers are actually making world-class products which are being loved by all the customers across the country. And hence, what we thought is, then why restrict this kind of assortment only to India? That is when Amazon decided to go for global selling in the year 2015. And that's when, on our transformation journey, we set up global selling. So what exactly is global selling? So a seller sitting here in India has access to sell his products across all 10 global marketplaces. So I'll explain how the global value chain is working here. So there is a seller sitting here in India manufacturing products, and Amazon helps them get the consumer insights via machine learning. And once they produce the products, they just have to go and register themselves on Amazon website and go send their products to fulfillment center via FBA in the US. and that reaches the FC in the US, and then the customer sees it across all 180 countries. Customers actually see the product, make the purchase, pay Amazon, and then Amazon ships it from their FCs to the customers in 2 days. That's the Prime delivery service. And then the customer reviews your products and gives the ratings. And if there is any issue, there is 24/7 Amazon customer care to take care of the queries. And then the seller sitting here in India, where the customer in US has paid in US dollars, the seller here sitting here is able to get his amount or his reimbursement in Indian currency, INR. So that's what Amazon is enabling by having service providers help them in listing, cataloging, translation support, and also we have service providers who help us get this currency exchange so that the sellers can get it in INR. And the biggest validation of the fact is on Amazon.com, we have a dedicated India page just for the hundreds of Indian Americans who want to have their own products in their own country. And so what are the benefits? So there is a huge sales. There are a lot of sale periods like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Sellers sitting here in India are getting all the benefits with minimal setup cost, minimal operating costs. And this is how Amazon global selling has really grown in India, from few hundred sellers and few million products in 2015 to now 32,000 plus sellers and 90 million products available across 10 global marketplaces. So while all the, a lot of categories are doing well, specifically we see bed sheets, tapestries, organic products, Indian handicrafts doing really well in the US. So as you can see, the customers are loving the quality. Cotton itself is really selling well. They're loving the designs as well. And then that's why a lot of manufacturing hubs in the country which are doing really well, like the leather in the north, or jute in the east, or textiles in the west, and even in the south. We have now also handloom ones like Tantuja from West Bengal and Chakra from Jharkhand participating in the global value chain as well. So there's again one more thing that I would want you to show, how sellers are now diversifying not only into the US but also all our marketplaces.
मेरा बिजनेस जयपुर की बेडशीट्स जो आउट ऑफ इंडिया में टेपेस्ट्री के नाम से जानी जाती है, उसका मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का काम है मेरा। इंडिया में बेडशीट के रूप में काम में लिया जाता है इसको, और आउट ऑफ इंडिया अगर देखा जाए तो ये सोफ़ा कवर, वॉल हैंगिंग, टेपेस्ट्री और बीस थ्रो आदि में इस्तेमाल की जाती है। अमेज़ॉन से पहले मैं केवल ऑल ओवर इंडिया एक्सपोर्टर्स को सप्लाई करता था। अब अमेज़ॉन से जुड़ने के बाद मैं डायरेक्ट एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ। अमेज़ॉन का FBA फीचर सबसे अच्छा इस मामले में लगा हमें, क्योंकि FBA के थ्रू होता ये है कि हम यहाँ से इंडिया से माल पैक करके अमेज़ॉन के फुलफिलमेंट सेंटर पे भेज देते हैं। फुलफिलमेंट सेंटर में माल भेजने के बाद कस्टमर जब भी ऑर्डर करता है, अमेज़ॉन खुद उनको पैक करके और कस्टमर को पहुँचाता है। US के फुलफिलमेंट सेंटर पे 30,000 से ऊपर इन्वेंट्री मेरी है। अमेज़ॉन के फीडबैक के कारण हमें ये पता चलता है कि ग्राहक को कौन सी चीज़ अच्छी लग रही है, कौन सी चीज़ नहीं अच्छी लग रही है। उसके कारण हम अपनी चीज़ों में, अपने गुड्स में बदलाव करते हैं। जैसे ब्लैक फ्राइडे, क्रिसमस, साइबर मंडे, इस टाइम पे यूजर्स का ट्रैफिक अमेज़ॉन पे बहुत ज़्यादा रहता है। इसी वजह से हमारा बिजनेस भी बहुत अच्छा होता है। FBA में टोटल प्रोडक्ट मेरे 250 हैं, लेकिन अब मैं नेक्स्ट फेस्टिवल सीजन आने तक उसको 400 तक करना चाहूँगा। इंडिया के छोटे से गांव में सांगानेर से US माल भेज रहा हूँ, और US के कस्टमर बड़े चाव से इसे ख़रीद रहे हैं और यूज कर रहे हैं। मुझे बहुत अच्छा महसूस हुआ कि मैं भारत में माल बना के और US में माल भेज रहा हूँ। Amazon.com पे सक्सेस पाने के बाद अब मैंने Amazon.co.uk पे भी अपना बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया है।
That's the success story from Sanganer in Jaipur to San Francisco in the US. And as we say in Amazon, it's still day one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rajita. We move on now directly to the last presentation of this very long panel with lots of speakers, and it's going to be Mr. Juda Kala, the General Secretary of the National Investment Development Agency in Algeria. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Mr. Juda, General Secretary, Investment Agency, Algeria. Algeria aspires to become an important economic hub in its region and integrate the global value chain and offer nowadays a real opportunity whose valorization will be facilitated by one of the highest incentive level in the Mediterranean region, thanks to strong indicator, abundant natural resource, competitive cost of production factors, modern basic infrastructure, a qualified workforce, and a geostrategic position close to promising markets. Algeria is largest market in this region. The surrounding direct market are 125 million inhabitants. The location of Algeria is strategic opposite to the European market and at the junction of Africa and Mediterranean state with quick and direct access to major market Africa, Europa, Levant and the Maghreb region. Algeria is a exporting country and our needs are merely covered by import which induce the importance of this market. The $46 billion of import constitute in fact a potential that offers the Algerian market for productive investment such as food production, machinery and construction equipment. Natural resources such as gas, oil and solar energy. Regarding human resources, the Algerian university network is made of 90 universities and 731 vocational schools. Cost of the competitive factor to information mean natural gas 0.21 to 0.40 euro thermic, food petrol 0.20 euro a liter. In this regard, Algeria has a new model of economic growth that is focused on a dynamic development and valuation of investment and enterprise. This model is essentially based on the strengthening the development of priority sectors such as industry, agriculture, tourism, renewable energy, and a service economy in support in development and information and communication technology. The agriculture sector to be developed, agriculture mechanization, economic irrigation system, fertilization technique, input production, modern nursery, etc. The implementation of a new industrial recovery strategy that aims at the development, modernization of the Algerian industry. In this perspective, the government seeks to improve the attractiveness of Algeria as an investment destination in order to revitalize the industrial activity, generate new business opportunity, and encouragement the settlement of new investment. For the strategy sector, we can find chemical and pharmaceutical industry, electronic and electrical appliance, hydraulic binder, mechanic and automotive, aeronautic, shipbuilding and repair, wood furniture industry, etc. Important achievements have already been made in this sector, essentially optic, fiber linking, and satellite telecommunication, mobile sector. The energy, we found activity to be developed, solar voltaic, wind energy, solar thermal, biomass cogeneration, geothermal energy, etc. The incentive and aid. The principle of foundation of Algerian investment system Act has allowed to set up a better dynamic and to implement a more attractive investment framework thanks to the advantage and the flexibility of implementation of projects that will generate at the medium term and efficient and positive integration of Algerian economy in the global economy. Investing that will generate add value with an employment and that will contribute also in diversification of the national economy. How to beat from the advantage? Simply to have a partner to be close in the field of expertise, strong decision measure, coordination between competent agency and authority, and their good administration procedure, receiving the benefit, trade register, license and authorization. And keep in mind for those who see even further Algerian southwards. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Big round of applause. Again, yes. You said you'll take a lot longer, and you're actually one of the shortest of all the presenters, so bravo and chapeau to you. Let me begin by apologising to all of the panel for having to rush you. I mean, all of the presentations were excellent, to be honest, and I wanted many of them just to carry on and on and on, because they were full of basically rich insights that I would want to take away with me, and I hope that many in the audience would also want to take away as well. Now, I hope that all of the presentations that were presented can be made available to everybody online, because, like I said, there's a huge wealth of information there I think that we can all benefit from. In the interest of time, I'm not going to provide a wrap-up, because the presentations are all very diverse, but they all provided, if you want, a rich tapestry about global value chains. But I will, I think, open the floor, because this is really part and parcel of why we have this session, to those of you sitting in the audience. And if you have a few questions, 2 questions, but if it's more than that, then I'm going to have to pass the microphone over to somebody else to carry on with the chairman role. Well, I see one hand over there, but you're right, the presentations were so good, there shouldn't be any questions, but one question over there. Okay, only one question.
Yeah, I heard some beautiful presentation from both the ladies. My question goes to Amazon. Amazon has shown us amazing slides, but I want to ask you one question. What is the percentage of commission you take from the MSCs and the starters?
Actually, all the rates and everything for the referral fees are on our website, and it's a very transparent process. So you can log on to the website and see by category. It's different for different categories. Thank you.
The commission comes like category of some articles we give you, like
no. So
textiles is different, and then food is different.
Yes.
Thank
so
you.
By category it's different. You can log on to Amazon.in and you can get all the details there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just to wrap up, one of the important takeaways from the whole of the discussions about global value chains over the last 2 days is that sometimes it's really important that it's okay to take a lower share of a bigger pie, and I think that's also to some extent true. If you can achieve larger market share by going through a channel like Amazon but paying a little bit for it, who knows where the benefits are? But I think that for me is perhaps the most important takeaway. I'm going to now to pass over the microphone, and I'm going to run away. Thank you very much to everybody.
So we will quickly run through the felicitations of this panel. We would like to acknowledge them for the time, taking out time from their busy schedules. I invite Captain Batra, Vice Chairman, World Trade Center, Mumbai, to kindly do the honors and felicitate Dr. Ahmed. I request Captain Batra to felicitate Mr. Pramod San, Vice President, Head of Export Imports and Customs, Cements, India. I request Sir to felicitate Mr. Sheikh Fazle Fahim, Senior Vice President, Federation of Bangladesh Chambers of Commerce and Industries. May I kindly request Sir to felicitate Mr. Jahangir bin Alam, Secretary and CEO, India-Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I request Sir to felicitate Mr. Jueda Khiar, General Secretary, National Investment Development Agency, Algeria. I request Sir to felicitate Mr. Mandar Vaidya, Vice President, India Purchase and Global Category Manager, Group Purchase, SKF Bearing. I request Sir to felicitate Mr. Rajesh Satam, Joint Director, Texprosil. May I kindly request Sir to felicitate Mr. Sobins Kuriakos, Head of Southern States, National Skill Development Corporation. I request Sir to felicitate Ms. Anagha Mahajani, General Manager and Head, Program Research and Monitoring, Ambuja Cement Foundation. I would like to request Sir to felicitate Ms. Biswajita Mishra, Head Account Management, Global Sales, Amazon India. I request Mr. Christian Salomon, CEO Tech in India, to please come forward and be felicitated by Captain Batra, Vice Chairman, World Trade Center, Mumbai. Thank you, sir. I would now request Dr. Ahmed to gift out an award of excellence to Port Hall in the field of excellence that they have displayed in the field of GVCs. I invite Port Hall to please come up on the stage and receive the award. Thank you all. Now, moving ahead, in the interest of time, we would make it short and sweet, the valedictory session. May I invite Vice Chairman, World Trade Center, Mumbai, Captain Somesh Batra, to please come up on the stage for the valedictory session. I request Dr. Ahmed to please stay back for the save and put across the concluding remarks. I invite Mrs. Rupa Naik, Senior Director, World Trade Center, Mumbai, to please come up on the stage and join us for the valedictory session.
But I wanted to say a few words perhaps just at the end of this summit, just to say how much I appreciated the discussions that we've had. As I mentioned in the earlier session, I felt that there was a rich tapestry of information that came through about global value chains. And the reason that I use the expression tapestry is because ultimately we're weaving together things to create, if you want, a bigger whole. And that's to some extent part and parcel of what global value chains are all about. I've certainly taken away an awful lot from this meeting, and I hope that you two within the audience have also taken away lots of new ideas and perhaps also lots of new contacts, which is to some extent one of the main reasons why you're all here. And I strongly encourage you to get in touch with those individuals that you've had the opportunity of speaking to, and perhaps even some of those who can facilitate, both with who are a large firm who wants to engage with smaller firms and make them part of the value chain, or a smaller firm that wants to use and capitalise on the potential for skills transfer, technology transfer, or even trying to better understand what regulation standards are from a larger firm. So that's what I wanted to say. Again, I'd like to thank the hosts and the organisers for putting together a fantastic event, and I look forward to the next GES meeting next year. So bravo to the organisers.
Friends, I think we are at the end and close of the session, and it's my pleasure to thank all of you for being here, for being patiently listening, also quizzing, questioning, thinking, and also contributing, as well as the excellent speakers that we had, my colleagues in the World Trade Center who made it possible, put all that hard work, as well as perseverance, and some other changing circumstances. Really, as far as the global value chain is concerned, it starts from a small and bits and pieces, and then you put it together, sew it together, and it becomes global. It's simple. First, you have to have the vision, you have to have planning, you have to put the process in place. After putting the process, you start working on it. After working, you come to the end, and thereafter feedback once again, and correct, go further. I mean, it's like a lady's cooking food in the house. She's got 50 spices, onions, potatoes. There are various ways to do that. Either she puts all the cut pieces and put them in an assembly line, or she puts one and then she says, let me go to the next corner store and pick up. Doesn't get it. Then she says, Ramu, go and get this and that, and then, the process is only best when she's planned it well, she's thought about it, she's considered it, and thereafter she goes on. I've been involved in this industry for many, many years. I remember that when the Maruti factory in Delhi came in, or they set up the plant, our company had a contract with them every morning to supply them the brake pads from Chennai into Delhi or into their factory. Every morning it had to be there, because otherwise the production will stop. The finance is idle stock that is lying. So we booked space on the aircraft. Every aircraft that left Chennai, we had 2 tons of cargo space. That was committed to us. We've also to plan, flights will get delayed. there will be cyclones, there will be rain. So we had to have a warehouse in Delhi where reserve stock was kept. A flight got delayed, we gave the reserve stock and put this on number. So it just goes on and on and on and continues, but this is a complex subject, can be simplified by proper planning and processing. Once again, thank you for being here. Wonderful to have you, and I hope you will be here, if not earlier, next year. We have, I think, 5, 6, 7 March or thereabouts for our next Global Economic Summit. And at the moment, we are planning on the right topics. All of you are invited, and do come with numbers, do come and contribute. All the best. Have a wonderful, wonderful stay. Thank you.